everything you just said worked because you were learning and you were learning to understand what it was that you were selling. And it made it a lot easier for you to explain things at a level that that business owner would understand. Whereas somebody with 15, 20 years experience, a lot of times comes in and they talk above the business owner's head. It blows my mind. I mean, sometimes getting a deal done is as simple as explaining to somebody how their wind deductible works because they don't understand it. Nobody's ever
Right.
explained it. I would be willing to bet you that if we were to go to the average middle market company, any maybe not as much down your way since wind is an even bigger deal for you, but it still may be this way. But if I were to go to any of the middle market companies that I would call on in the Tampa area, and I would poll them to explain to me how their wind deductible worked, I would be willing to bet that at least 80% of them would think that it was a percentage of the loss, not a percentage of the total insurable values. And those little things
Absolutely
are
right.
things that you just automatically skim over as you get more experienced. And that's why, for me, I want to go talk to the person that changes every year or every other year. I want to find that client that's been with the same person for 5 to 10 years because I know that that person is comfortable in the relationship. They've probably taken their eye off the ball a little bit. And I'm going to find the dusty corners when I go in and I meet with those people. And I find that a lot of the time, that's how it works. They don't understand the time element deductible. They don't understand their wind deductible. Ordinance and law is a big deal where we're at because you got a lot of older
Right.
construction that's already difficult to insure. And then you find out that they don't have enough ordinance and law coverage. And I mean, these are things that were basics. They were drilled into our head when we got our license, when we got our CIC. But I think that there's a phenomenon where once we get our license, once we get that designation, and I can't speak for everybody, but I see it a lot in our peer group. People just think they've made it at that point. There is no more investing in yourself. There's no more getting better at understanding coverage. Let me tell you something, man. I sat in a Rubel Institute for my CIC that a guy got up and talked for 8 hours on additional insured. The entire day was nothing but additional insured. To a lot of people, that might sound like an absolute nightmare, but I left knowing that I could drive wedges at the point of sale. I would never be able to drive if I would have actually taken it seriously and sat in there and listened. And yet I hear people saying, what's the quickest place online for me to get my continuing ed done, where all I have to do is take the test or whatever else? It blows my mind. We have to have 200 hours. And I'm sure this was the way it was when you were going through. We didn't get to do this stuff online, man. I sat in class from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday for 5 straight weeks. And the whole time, the instructor's scaring the living daylights out of you about how hard the test is going to be. And like 70% of the people don't pass it. Studied harder for my insurance license than I did any of my college coursework for my entire college career. Then I took it and I'm like, that wasn't so bad. But now that I've been in it, it's like, I'll tell you, it's funny because 3 or 4 years after I had been on the streets, I had a business owner come in and I froze because he asked me, he said, why do I need general liability anyhow? I couldn't give him a good answer to the question because I'm so used to all of the other, coverage extensions and all the things we're talking about. And his whole philosophy was, if I get sued, I'll just close down the business and open up another LLC. And I'm like, I can't help you, man. I can't help you if that's your philosophy. The reason you have it is for X, Y, Z. But probably for 10 or 15 seconds, I just froze because I'm like, this is the most basic question somebody could ask me, and here I am, not even prepared for the basics.
No, listen, I'm of the opinion that we're always learning. There's the market is ever changing. Things are changing all the time. I learn every single day. I'm never above anything. But to your comment, you're absolutely right. As a performer, as a producer, the staff needs to be able to meet their potential clients where they're at. It might be a little business that needs to understand how their business, her building deductible works. It might be a big corporation that maybe not to the extent that he didn't want to buy the liability and he thought he could just close the entity, but it might be a corporation where they don't understand the threat to the business that it is to have the auto fleet under the same entity that is running his operation business. And he just may need someone to explain to him, who's not an attorney and not charging him 15 grand, to say, hey, this auto fleet is best to have under a separate registered LLC. Here's the reason why it could still be on the same policy. It could still be covered under your same umbrella, and explain those intricacies. But all of that starts with, in my opinion, shutting up and listening and seeing where the insured is at and making a good judgment call as to what will potentially help them. What helps, it might be really simple to us, but what might help someone tremendously understanding a policy, somebody else may not need it or can find better ways to really protect themselves outside of the insurance product. I always let them know the insurance product can probably cover a third of the things that could potentially put you out of business. There's 2/3 that will wreck you much quicker than a claim or a windstorm or a fire or a big auto loss, and put you out of business more quicker than an insurance claim can do it, and an insurance policy can cover. And just going through what those things are is a huge eye opener for many prospects.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I mean, it's funny because I always talk about this, but most agents, when you go meet with somebody who's going to evaluate whether or not they want to hire you down the road, the agent always wants to get the deck pages and the exposure information so that they can understand what they need to do to try and put a submission together. I don't care about any of that. I'm not going to copy off of somebody else's homework, number one. But number two, I want to see the loss runs, man. Tell me what's really going on in your business. Tell me what's driving your rate. Your rate didn't just go up in most cases as a factor of market conditions. There's things that you either are doing or are not doing that are contributing to that. So if we can tell a better story, if we have the ability to really get our arms around what's going on in your operation, and then put together a game plan on what we're going to do to implement processes and procedures to fix that over the next couple of years, you're going to get a lot more mileage out of an underwriter than just going in and answering yes or no on the ACORD forms, providing loss runs without actually doing any kind of analysis or even a premium versus loss summary, so that they understand what they're doing. But more importantly, they have confidence that you know what you're doing. One of the things that we do that's really elevated our game is a lot of my submissions on the more complex accounts at this point are done in video. So we'll give you the ACORD forms and everything, but instead of me sitting down and typing a narrative, showing you video footage of everything that we walked into and saw. You got pallets blocking your fire door? There it is. I want you to see that. And then we're going to go back before we finish the submission, and we're going to take video of everything we've done to clean that stuff up so that the underwriter sees that we're actually involved in these accounts and not just giving them lip service when we go in. So, let me ask you this, man.
I'm really glad you share that, by the way, of the videos and the pictures, because now more than ever, I am taking pictures, as long as the insured approves, of what's going on, of their warehouse, inside, outside, because it really sheds a lot of light. When an underwriter can see it beyond an ACORD form and a supplemental, it makes them understand what the exposure really is. And it really gets them interested in working on that submission and getting it done for everybody.
Well, in addition, it makes you look like a completely different animal than everybody else that's gone into that account too. The business owner or the decision maker is going to be like, nobody else is asked to do this. Like I'm actually really let down that in today's age where everybody has a cell phone in their pocket, what you do and what we do isn't more prevalent. It blows my mind how every insurance agent is not walking around talking to the client, but also snapping pictures of everything they see. Yeah, and I take it one step further, man. I got licensed to fly my drone. So now I get footage of the roof, I get footage of the air conditioning units. All of that stuff goes in. I think a CFO reacts when you say, hey, just real quick before I leave, you mind if I deploy my drone quick and get pictures of the rooftop and everything so I can make sure the underwriter is seeing exactly what the roof updates look like that you got done 2 years ago and all of that other stuff. But it amazes me because, again, this is what we should be doing. Like, I listen to people up north talk about writing personal lines. They have to go out and take pictures of houses. They do the agents are the ones that are doing the inspections for the insurance companies. I've always just taken that approach because I felt like I didn't want to get caught by surprise with a bad situation down the road if loss control from the carrier came out and they saw something that I didn't see because I never left the conference room to walk the manufacturing floor.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You just helped me out tremendously. I'm gonna steal that from you, but I'm gonna buy a damn drone. I've taken pictures of everything, but I did not once think about buying a drone, keeping it in the trunk of my car and say, hey, before we leave, I'm gonna do this for you.